During the bear market, Kaspa was a breath of fresh air, something that could do a 10x, a layer one, a proof of work. Everyone thought it was the next big thing, myself included, but a lot of people were looking for the next Kaspa. A lot of people think Alephium could be the Kaspa killer. They're both a type of proof of work. They are both very similar in a lot of ways, but drastically different. Is Alephium better than Kaspa? In this video, I want to do a complete project review. We're going to go over everything from the website to the tokenomics to how the projects are funded and everything else associated with them. I want to go over hash rate and really get into the nitty gritty of the details, guys, to let you know, do I think Alephium is better than Kaspa? Guys, it's going to be a great video. Is this the next Kaspa? But first, I want to welcome you back to Freeman Finance and Crypto, where if it makes money, it makes sense, guys. From the bottom of my heart, I'm truly grateful for every single one of you. But if you're not subscribed, please pause the video, hit subscribe, hit that bell notification. Now, let's get into the video. The first thing I want to start off with is just showing you all the market cap, the price of them, and where all of these are available at. And so starting off over on coinmarketcap.com, we can see Alephium is currently $1.43 with a market cap of 129 million, guys. And it's available at a plethora of tier 2 exchanges, Gate.io, Mexi, Bitmark, BitGet, tier 2, tier 3 exchanges. And it is a layer one in itself. There is an ETH one that you can get. It's just essentially a wrapped version or a bridge, whatever you want to call it, a 1-for-1. So you can buy it on Ethereum, but the real one, the legacy one, is on Alephium, its own chain. When we go over to Kaspa, it's a much different story. It's a $3.72 billion market cap, guys. And when we look at it, the volume for this is 156 million. If we go to Alephium, it's like 2 million. So there's a drastic difference when we look at these, but if people are thinking this could be the next Kaspa, then it's obvious it would make sense that it is lower volume right now. When you take a look at this, Bybit, BitGet, Kraken, KuCoin, Gate.io, BingX, Mexi, Bitmark, LBank, XT, guys, a lot of tier 2 exchanges. The only tier 1 is Kraken. So it is hard to get this in the United States just like that. Y'all have heard me talk about the sponsor of Freeman Finance and Crypto, Caleb and Brown, guys. It's a personalized brokerage service that you can pick up the phone, call your broker, 24/7 support. It's unlike anything else I have ever personally used in the industry. There will be a free promotional link down below. If you guys sign up, talk to a broker, see if you all have a relationship, it really helps out the channel. I appreciate it. So now that we understand that Kaspa is a $3.75 billion market cap and Alephium is a little over 100 million, we know that Kaspa is about 35 times the size in overall market cap. And so now let's go over to the website and do a review of this. This is always a first glance type thing. People want to see what the website looks like. Scalable for devs, secure for users, decentralized for all. Innovative sharding meets impressive UTXOs and efficient proof of less work to secure scalable DApps for real world use cases. If we take a look at what does that mean, this is an article over on Median, and it says what that means is that the difficulty is adjusted for every block, and it goes into it a little bit deeper, but basically they're both proof of work. It's just a little bit different ways that they go about it, but they're not proof of stake. They are proof of work. When we go over to Kaspa, the fastest open source decentralized fully scalable layer 1 in the world, the world's first block DAG. They are both DAG type cryptos, and we're going to do an analysis on this. We're going to look at the hash rate and see what each of them claim, if they really do that, and how the hash rate is growing, how the miners are really doing. Are they both getting the same rate of adoption, or is one of them getting more adoption than the other? This is something that I want us to go look at. When we look at the explorers, we can see that the current hash rate is 26.2 petahashes for Alephium. The average block time is 17.2 seconds. When we come over to Kaspa, you can't compare this dollar for dollar, but 1.34 exahash, okay? And then when we look at this, this is 6 to 13 transactions per second, 0.9 blocks per second. So like I said, you can't compare that dollar for dollar, apple to apple. It's more like apples to oranges, but it is something that I wanted to show you guys. But when we get into the hash rate, something something that I want to look at is adoption, guys. These networks are secured by miners. If everyone turned off all their Bitcoin miners at once, the network would be stagnant. No more blocks would be mined. Nothing would happen. So in order for these proof of work networks to work, the miners have to be profitable, and a sign of profitability is to see more of a hash rate. That means more people are mining, securing the network. So when we look at this, I want to go back a few months, and this is August 7th right here. It was at 2.5 petahashes for Alephium, and if you look at where it's at now, it's about 26.7. So we can call that a 10% increase in overall hash rate, 10 times the mining power for Alephium in the last few months. If we go take a look at Kaspa and we go to that same time frame and we come over here to August, it was at 800 petahashes and it's currently at 1.31. So that's about an 80% increase in mining power for Kaspa versus a 10x increase for Alephium at that time. But again, guys, you can't compare this apples to apples. We have to understand that Kaspa is a much larger market cap. It has a lot more hash rate power. So that means that a smaller project like Alephium can grow a lot quicker. It would really be fair if we compared this to the hash rate Kaspa was growing at a year ago, 2 years ago during the bear market. But I just want to show you that Alephium is getting a lot of adoption from miners right now. And if we look over the last month or two, it's still been growing very strong. So there's a lot of interest in this from miners. In fact, I would like to hear from y'all. If you're a miner, I know I've got some Kaspa guys that mine Kaspa on the channel that are part of the Freeman and Finance family, guys. But if you mine Alephium, let me know down below if it's profitable and what is better between mining that or Kaspa, guys. So right now, I want to go into the overall ecosystems. What is there provided? And if we go over here to Alephium, we could see they have decentralized NFT marketplace. They have decentralized game hub. They have their own decentralized exchanges here. They have a very good ecosystem, DeFi games, decentralized finance applications. They've got a really big network already built up. And when we take a look over at Kaspa, they basically have meme coins KRC20 right now. There's not a lot of DEXs right now, if any. We're all waiting for those to come. There's not a lot of real world asset projects. So just looking at this being non-biased coming in, it definitely looks like Alephium has a lot more DApps, decentralized applications, everything that bridges to gaming, to different socials, to security platforms, everything. They are a lot more developed than Kaspa in that regard. But now I want to go over to the tokenomics because this is a big part that sets these projects apart. We all know that Kaspa is a fair launch, okay? There was no pre-allocated supply to anyone, but Alephium is not like that. Alephium has venture capitalist backing, and I want to go into this because this is a deal breaker for a lot of people. When we go over here, and this is a medium.com article, we could see Alephium at the Genesis block, there was 140 million tokens mined, and this went to 80 million of them for sales, 30 million to team and treasury, and 30 million to the ecosystem. So with Alephium sitting at currently, let's just call it 140 million market cap for sake of easy numbers, that means that sales currently has 80 million, team and treasury 30 million, and ecosystem 30 million, and the rest of the supply, the 860 million Alephium, which is a 1 billion total supply, will be mined in its entirety within 80 years. So we can see right there that there is a lot of money for the team that they got up front in the Genesis block. There's a lot more money for development of the ecosystem, which really makes a lot of sense when we see all the applications that Alephium already has and the entire ecosystem that they have grown. It makes sense because of the Genesis block a few years ago. They had millions of dollars right off the bat. And I also want to show long-term price action between these two projects that we're going to get into just in a minute. But out of respect, I want to go over to Kaspa and show they have a total supply of 28.7 billion tokens. Okay, so about 28.7 times what Alephium will ever have. And we can see we are currently right here on this flat part of of the emission schedule for Kaspa. So Alephium has a lot longer of a total emission period versus Kaspa is a lot quicker. Alephium also is venture capitalist back with 140 million tokens upfront to the team and the project, whereas Kaspa was all fair launch. People that are on the team were just early miners of it. And of course, they made money hand over fist, and it was extremely, extremely profitable. But there was work that had to be put into it and money to buy equipment, not just from the Genesis block. They were available. When we go over to X, 44,000 followers for Alephium. They got the gold check mark, guys. They're very active. They post multiple times a day, as you can see on here. I need to give them a follow when you look at it, though. But they don't have a lot of exchange listings, which kind of surprises me for something that does have the tokenomics of this. I mean, you have, probably $50 million still that you haven't spent. And where are these big exchanges? Maybe they're coming, but when we go over to Kaspa, 230,000. We know this is a fan favorite. This came out during the bear market, guys. People were so happy to find Kaspa during that time period, and they themselves are very, very active. They are always going to different events. They are always having these little social gatherings for people that are extremely bullish on Kaspa. And so, what is better, Alephium or Kaspa? Well, guys, it's very, very hard to say. I think it comes down to a few things. Do you like venture capitalist projects, or do you like completely fair launches? And there's arguments for both of them, okay? A little bit of VC backing is okay. It helps to be able to fund the project, to be able to go on and really develop it versus essentially getting donations from people in the Kaspa community to go do things. But I want to get into the long-term price of these and see really how they have acted. So we can see Alephium launched right here. It was at $1, and of course a lot of that stuff was probably sold off, guys. This is what happens in a venture capitalist backed project. You go from $1.20 and they take projects and dump on retail. It's just how it is. And then recently, back in March of 2024, it hit a high of almost $4, came down to a low of approximately $1, got support there, and it's currently sitting at $1.40. And you're going to see, we see an entirely different story when we look at Kaspa. It was the opposite. There is no dumping to be done when there is no pre-allocation, guys. It's one of the most beautiful charts you have ever seen in cryptocurrency. So it's a tale of two totally different projects and two totally different types of ways of going about it. One is a pre-allocation where you instantly dump on retail, and one of them is taking the chance of it never getting adoption and the entire price of it forever being 0.0018 and nothing ever happened with it, and it just dying and miners becoming not profitable. But when I look at it right now, I think Kaspa needs to get big tier 1 exchanges. It needs a Binance, it needs a Coinbase, it needs to allow everyday investors, especially the ones in the United States, access to it easily, whereas Alephium, it could potentially have a lot more multiples this cycle. Even if Kaspa starts running and Kaspa does a 10x, I believe Alephium will benefit from that. People will start talking about proof of work. People will start looking for a cheaper alternative. And I potentially think dollar for dollar, Alephium will and can outperform Kaspa this cycle. Now, long term, if Kaspa can get the support, funding, and exchange listings, I believe they can build out an entire ecosystem a lot better than Alephium. But if somebody was to put $100 in Alephium and $100 for Kaspa in the next 2 years, I believe the Alephium investment would produce a lot more. And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, it's already 36 times smaller than Kaspa. That right there, I believe if Kaspa does a 5x, that Alephium could easily do a 20 or 30x. Another one is when we look at this, not only is the hash rate getting more adoption, but not only is all of this, there's a lot of healthy transactions, there's a lot of healthy everything, guys, but the number one thing is that they already have a full ecosystem built out. Look at all this. This is extremely, extremely impressive, guys. Like, I don't know what to say. I was actually surprised when I looked at it and I seen all these decentralized applications built right here on Alephium. But guys, let me know. Are you a Kaspa maxi? Don't get mad and unfollow me. I am just listening to people in the Freeman and Finance family. I've seen comments underneath saying Alephium is the next Kaspa, so I thought it was my due diligence to bring it to y'all. But guys, let me know, what do you think about Alephium, and do you think it's better than Kaspa, or do you think it will just fade away and Kaspa will continue on, guys? Watch this video up above, and if you're not a part of the Freeman and Finance family, what are we doing by now? Come on, subscribe. I love you all.